Good morning. We're going on the record at approximately 9:51 a.m. on August 3rd, 2022. Please note that the microphones are sensitive and may pick up whispering, private conversations, and cellular interference. Please turn off all cell phones or place them away from the microphones as they can interfere with the deposition audio. Audio and video recording will continue to take place unless all parties agree to go off the record. This is Media Unit 1 of the video recorded deposition of Ivanka Trump in the matter of the State of New York, Office of the Attorney General, in re Financial Statements Investigation. This examination is being taken by the New York State Office of the Attorney General, located at 28 Liberty Street, New York, New York. My name is Thomas Devine with Veritex New York, and I'm the videographer. The court reporter is Sylvia Wage, also with Veritex New York. I am not authorized to administer an oath. I am not related to any party in this action, nor am I financially interested in the outcome. Counsel and all present and everyone appearing remotely will now please state their appearances and affiliations for the record. If there are any objections to proceeding, please state them at the time of your appearance, beginning with the noticing attorney.
Louis M. Solomon from the Office of the Attorney General.
Colleen Kelly-Fairley, Assistant Attorney General.
Austin Thompson, Assistant Attorney General.
Andrew Amer, Special Counsel, Attorney General's Office.
Alex Finkelstein, Assistant Attorney General.
Kevin Wallace, Senior Enforcement Counsel with the Attorney General.
Eric Aaron, Special Counsel.
On this side, Alan Futerfas for Ms. Trump.
Bettina Shine of Counsel to Law Offices, Alan Futerfas for Ms. Trump.
Mr. Futerfas, I ask you to wear, you have your microphone on.
It's
Thank
right
you.
here.
I'll turn it up. Thank you.
And we're accompanied by a paralegal, Eleanor Buse, B-U-S-E. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ivanka Trump.
Sylvia, would you mind swearing in the witness?
Ms. Trump, if you could please raise your right hand so I can administer the oath. Do you swear to tell the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you. You may proceed.
Thank you. Good morning, Ms. Trump. As you've heard, I am Louis M. Solomon. I'm the Chief of Enforcement in the Real Estate Finance Bureau in the New York Attorney General's Office. Also present today with us in the room are Colleen Faraday, Austin Thompson, Andrew Amer, Alex Finkelstein, Kevin Wallace, Samantha Stern, and Eric Harron. Also participating on WebEx are Will Hanley and Stephanie Torrey from my office. Now, although WebEx has a recording feature, we are not using that today. This testimonial session will be recorded by video and stenographic means by a videographer and court reporter certified to record testimonial sessions and depositions in the state of New York. Before we proceed, other than your devices for purposes of this testimonial session, please turn off all cell phones, laptops, tablets, and other electronic devices. This examination is being conducted by the Attorney General of the State of New York pursuant to the Martin Act and Executive Law 6312. Before we begin your testimony, I'd like to give you a few ground rules. You have the right to consult with an attorney. Although you do not have a right to have an attorney with you in this examination, the Attorney General will permit you to have your attorney present during your testimony today. Your attorney's role will be limited to consulting with you on issues of privilege. This is not a civil deposition. Your attorney will not be permitted to interpose objections, as is done in civil depositions, and will not be permitted to interrupt the questioning other than for issues of privilege. Anything you say in this examination may be used in a legal proceeding, which includes but is not limited to civil litigation, criminal prosecution, or regulatory proceedings. You have the right to refuse to answer any question if a truthful answer to the question would tend to incriminate you. Any willful misstatement by you may constitute perjury. Neither you nor anyone acting on your behalf has the right to obtain a copy of the transcript of your testimony here today from the reporter or the videographer. And the court reporter and videographer are directed not to release copies of the transcript to anyone other than representatives of the Attorney General's office. Finally, this investigation is confidential. We request that you not discuss this matter, your testimony, and documents reviewed here today, or any documents you have produced or may produce in connection with today's testimony with anyone other than your attorneys. Extensive note-taking or an attempt to create a transcript of the proceedings here by you or counsel is not authorized and will not be permitted. A few other instructions that will help this examination go as smoothly as possible. In order for the court reporter to create a clear record, please answer all questions verbally, as the reporter cannot take down a nod of the head or a shrug of the shoulders. Please let me finish each question before you begin your answer, and I will allow you to finish your answer before asking my next question. If you need to take a break at any time, just let me know. If there's a question pending, I would ask that you respond to that question before the break, however. If at any point you do not understand a question, please let me know, and I will rephrase it. If you answer a question, I and anyone reading the transcript will assume that you understood the question. Is that acceptable?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Sometimes you may give an answer as completely as you can and then later remember additional information. If that happens, please tell me that you'd like to add something to an earlier answer, and we'll do it right then while it's on your mind. In addition, a recollection that you knew by no later than 2011 that your father had financial statements?
It doesn't, no.
When you sent, withdrawn. When you advised Mr. Beal that your father would be sending his most recent financial statement, did you discuss the financial statement with your father before it was sent?
I don't believe so. I'm not sure what it means by recent financial statement. So I don't.
You wrote it, ma'am. What did you mean?
Like I said, I don't remember the email. I could have meant. I don't know. It could have been on the property. It could have been on any number of things. So I just don't know.
That's not what your email says. My father will send you his most recent financial statement. The prior sentence, you mentioned that you were including marketing materials on the property as well as our projections. And in our, you're referring to the Trump Organization, right?
Or his and ours, yes. I mean, I use them a little interchangeably, but yeah, I don't know.
I think the last sentence is clear. My father will, this is your statement. My father will also send you his most recent financial statement.
Okay.
Do you understand that to mean that it was your father's financial statement?
I mean, it says what it says, but I don't have any recollection of this. I don't know what I meant by it, or I don't recall having sent it, so I don't know.
But in the prior sentence, you use the word our for projections.
I see that, yes.
But in this sentence, you say his.
Okay.
There's a distinction between those words, right?
Yeah, yes.
Okay. And this doesn't help you in any way, shape, or form to remember that your father had financial statements.
I've never said of course he has financial, the company has, we have tons of financial statements, but it doesn't help me recall anything specific beyond what is written here, no.
Okay, let's go back then. Maybe I misunderstood your earlier testimony, and when we're done with this, we can take a break.
Yeah.
Because I know you had requested one a moment ago.
Thanks.
Are you aware that your father had financial statements?
I mean, we have a huge business and we have assets, and each one of them has tons of both projections and statements. So we have, yes, many.
Okay. Let me take a step back. We talked about I make a distinction when I say your father and when I say the Trump Organization. So I'm not asking about the Trump Organization's financial statements.
Okay.
I'm not asking about Chicago's profit and loss or their annual audited financials.
No, but that's
None
what
of those.
I make that, I think about it all as, like, when you say financial statements, I mean, it's a big business, so
I
we have
understand,
tons
but
of financial.
I'm sorry, had to finish.
No, I mean, we have lots of financial statements.
Right. I'm asking specifically about your father's personal financial statements.
Okay.
Okay. Do you have any recollection of your father having personal financial statements?
Not specifically.
What about generally?
Well, see, I combine them all in my mind, like the statements of the company, and so no, I mean, not like specific to him.
Okay. That's what I'm asking.
Yeah.
Not the company, specific to him, where his assets and his liabilities are identified.
Sure, he has accountants who do all sorts of stuff, have all sorts of stuff. But no, sorry,
Right,
I don't specifically know what was prepared on his behalf for him as a person, separate and distinct from the organization and the properties that I was working on. And so I don't know how they did that and who prepared it and the mechanisms like that.
Are you aware of a financial statement that was prepared at any time for the entirety of the Trump Organization, where it compiled all the different subsidiaries, affiliates, and the like?
Well, we had talked earlier, and you had mentioned this statement of financial condition, which I'd seen in preparation, like a portion of it, or I don't even know what it, but I don't know if it's all inclusive and what was, I don't know if that was the universe of assets that he had or the company had.
Can we take a break?
Yeah,
Well,
you have one more question?
it may be one or two. This is what led into it.
Yeah.
Just so I understand, though, a statement of financial condition would list all of the assets and all the liabilities. Otherwise, it wouldn't accurately portray the financial condition of the entities, right?
I've never
I object to the
prepared.
question.
Yeah, I've never prepared one, so I have no
To
idea.
your knowledge, you're a Wharton graduate.
I object to the question.
Look, I have my own. I've never prepared one. I don't know. I've never made one. I'm not an accountant.
And as you sit here today, you don't know whether it would include all assets and all liabilities?
I don't know.
Okay. Witnesses asked for a break.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. The time is 11:47. We're going off the record. And the time is approximately 12:16 p.m. We're back on the record.
Ma'am, I'll remind you that you're still under oath.
Yes.
Here, oh, okay. Take it off, not put it on. I'm going to ask the court reporter to mark as Exhibit 5. It's a one-page document, date stamp TTO 0119625. It's an email from you to richardbyrne@db.com. Yep, thank you. I can't reach that far. There you go.
Thank you.
I'd also note for the record, the date is November 16th, 2011 of the email.
Okay.
Do you recognize this email, ma'am?
I don't know.
Okay. Does this appear to be an email that you sent to Mr. Byrne in or about November 2011?
It does, yes.
Okay. Do you have any reason to believe this was not sent by you to Mr. Byrne?
I don't know.
Okay. You mentioned earlier that Mr. Byrne's name sounded familiar to you at Deutsche Bank.
Yes.
Does this refresh your recollection as to his involvement, if any, with respect to the Doral transaction?
Other than the name sounds.
Approximately 7:09, and this concludes today's testimony given by Ivanka Trump. The total number of media units used was 6 and will be retained by Veritex New York. Thanks, everyone.
Courtesy of the New York State Deposition, let's play Truth and Liar Liar. There's an expression, how do you know when a Republican or a politician, to be honest with you, shouldn't just signal out the Trumpy Trumps, is telling a lie, their lips are moving. So, in Dumb Trump Jr.'s case, because these new deposition tapes have just been released, all you got to do is have a look as much as it if you want to, and just tell me in the comment section, timestamp it, where Trump, in your opinion, is talking NIE. You could say the whole lot of it, but that's probably a misjudgment. I'm sure in the whole time he sat down, he must have told the truth for at least, 3.5 seconds. Let me know.
Very basic stuff. From there, transitioned over to the development that we have at Trump Park Avenue, formerly the Delmonico Hotel. I spent a couple of years working ground-up construction and building condominium high-rises new. It was a cool opportunity to get involved in a proper pre-war building, a retrofit type construction job, very different than ground-up construction. And that was a great project to cut your teeth on because on a 1927 building, there's a surprise behind every wall, and if you're the young guy that's willing to step up and take on the headaches, you may regret that later on, but it's certainly a good way to learn.
There are rent stabilized. It's pre-war, so there's rent stabilized apartments there, right?
Yes, that was that was the bane of my existence for quite some time.
Why was that the bane of your existence?
Just having to try to build a project around people living within a building,
And keep them in the building, right?
and keep them in the building or try to work something out, but it's not easy.
Right. Fair to say the rent stabilized apartments, that's rent that you can't negotiate around. You have to build around it and keep consistent with the rent stabilization laws, right?
Correct.
Okay. And you became familiar with that on the Trump Park Avenue project?
Quite, yes.
Okay. And you were a project manager when you were working on the Trump Park Avenue building?
Basically, yes.
Okay. And then at some point you worked on the Trump International Hotel in Chicago, right?
Correct. Once the primary bulk of the Trump Park Avenue was completed in terms of construction, development, and sales, we were in the process of building Trump International Hotel in Tower, Chicago. Going back to perhaps my, I don't want to say roots because I'd probably only been in it for 4, 5, 6 years at this point, but doing ground up construction on what would have been probably the tallest residential building in America at the time seemed like a cool opportunity, and so.
Okay. So let's look at a document. Samantha, can you pull up the 2017 Statement of Financial Condition of Donald J. Trump? Great. Okay, I'm going to hand the court reporter the document bearing initial Bates stamp number TTO _ 01275. On the cover, it states Donald J. Trump, Statement of Financial Condition, June 30th, 2017, and it's published by Mazars USA LLP. And there's a bunch of documents in here, and it ends on Bates number 12774. Court reporter's marking it then as exhibit, is that 4? 3. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Is there a particular page, Colleen, you want us to? turn to?
Just take a quick look so that he can
Okay.
assure himself that he's familiar with what this is. And then I'll direct you to the page.
Okay.
PDF is 21. And Don, you don't have to read every single word, just
Sure.
maybe flip through it to assure yourself that what this document is.
Okay.
And then I'll direct you to a particular page.
Okay.
Have you seen this statement before, the 2017 statement of Donald J. Trump before?
I know I saw it in preparation for this. I'm not sure if I've seen it before that.
My mic just fell out. I apologize. Okay. You're not sure if you've seen this document before.
I said I saw it in preparation for this. I don't recall if I saw it prior to this.
Okay.
The last couple of weeks would call it.
Okay. Are you familiar generally with Donald J. Trump's statement of financial condition?
Yes, mostly through my review over the last few weeks.
Okay. In connection with your work for the umbrella Trump organization, did you ever perform work Did you ever perform work on Donald J. Trump's statement of financial condition?
Not specifically that I recall, no.
Okay. All right, I'm going to turn your attention to your document page is going to be number 19, and the PDF page should be page 21, which is projected on the screen. And then it'll be Bates number 12771, Tom.
Okay.
Okay. So directing your attention to paragraph number 5 with the header Real Estate Licensing Developments. Do you see that paragraph there?
I do.
Okay. And so looking at, why don't you just quickly read this paragraph 5?
For the entire, right, we'll read the whole section.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think the first 2 paragraphs are the ones most
Okay.
relevant, but just give yourself a quick read so I can ask you a question or two. Do you have 2018? 2018? 18? Do you want to mark while he's reading?
Okay.
Okay. Did you take a moment to read the section within paragraph 5 titled Real Estate Licensing Developments?
I did.
All right. Do you have any familiarity with what's been described in this section, Real Estate Licensing Developments?
I did a lot of our international ones, so yes.
Okay. And when you say your international ones, what are you referring to?
The international licensing deals that I imagine this encompasses.
Okay. And to confirm your understanding, do those licensing deals also potentially include management deals?
I'm not sure if that's clear here to me.
Okay. How about if you read the first sentence of the second paragraph, which says, Mr. Trump has formed numerous associations with others for the purpose of developing and managing properties and is currently negotiating with others. Do you see that there?
I do.
Okay. Does that give you any indication about whether this also includes management deals?
Again, I'm looking at, when I talk about management deals, I'm talking about the hotel company and those kind of management arrangements. We could still manage for the developer some of the for sale real estate. So one sort of a bigger project in terms of an operating hotel versus sort of running an existing building that's already been sold out. So again, it's not entirely clear to me, just from this paragraph alone, which one it is. But I understand, generally speaking, what you're asking. I just can't. I'm not sure.
Okay. But fair to say that there are licensing agreements that Mr. Trump has used and incorporated in his statement of financial condition, correct?
Correct.
Similarly, there are management deals that he has incorporated into his statement of financial condition, right?
Again, I don't know what this encompasses. Again, that it may refer to, if we did the Philippines project, maybe in some of those cases we may continue to stay on to manage that building. That's a small operation relative to, managing a 400-room hotel in the same market, right? So I don't know if the hotel stuff is separated out from this and whether that's in there, but yes, that role could be encompassed in here. I'm just not sure.
Okay. So I understand you correctly. You don't know the specific details of what's encompassed in this particular paragraph number 5, but you have a general awareness that there are licensing deals and management deals that have value for Mr. Trump, right?
That's correct.
Okay, that's great. All right, so I'm going to ask a question about this paragraph. Tell me if you have any understanding. Same paragraph number 2, in which it states, the estimated current value of $246 million was based on an assessment made by the trustees in conjunction with their associates and outside professionals, the cash flow that is expected to be derived from these associations as their potential is realized. Do you see that there?
I do.
The next sentence then says, in preparing this assessment, the trustees and their associates have considered only situations which have evolved to the point where signed arrangements with other parties and fees and other compensation which will be earned are reasonably quantifiable. You see that?
I do.
Okay. First question. It says that there's been an assessment made by the trustees in conjunction with their associates. Do you have any understanding as to who the trustees are referenced in this paragraph?
At that point, it could have been, myself and my brother.
Anyone else?
Perhaps Alan Weisselberg as well.
Okay. Again, the trustees is a reference to and I'll tell you that this specific document says that the trustees of the Donald J. Trump Revocable Trust, dated April 7, 2014, as amended, on behalf of Donald J. Trump, are responsible for this statement. Fair to say you're also one of those trustees, right?
Yes.
Okay. And just give you one additional factoid, this particular statement of financial condition, this statement, was published October 30th, 2017, but it's effective June 30th, 2017.
Okay.
Fair to say you were at that point a trustee by June 30th, 2017, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Were you at any point involved in the value identified in the second paragraph I've just focused you in on and read, in estimating that current value of $264 million?
46? It says 246.
Did I not say 246
I
million?
think it said 264.
Oh, thank you.
That's okay.
Just listening. Were you at any point involved in estimating that current value of 246 million?
I may have been. I don't specifically recall.
What would you have done to work on that estimate value?
I imagine I would have talked about the deals that I was aware of that were going on, what I thought they would sell, the price per square foot they would derive in the market, our percentage of gross sales from that project, and what that would translate out to us in terms of revenues.
And who would you have had these conversations? Who would you have had these conversations with?
In all likelihood, it would have been probably my brother and myself at the time, perhaps with Alan Weisselberg, with perhaps Jeff McConney, perhaps Mazars. I believe they prepared this document, so it could have been with them. I just don't specifically remember.
Okay. So you have no specific recollection about this valuation, but is it fair to say you have a general recollection of this type of valuation?
Saying if they said we did this, I would do that often, talking about what I thought each project would do, that I was, if I was in charge of a project, there would definitely be times I'd estimate what we'd be able to do. It is real estate, so that's not a perfect science. You start a project and you think you're going to sell for X, Y, Z. When you start the development and you maybe sign a license deal, by the time you get in the ground, get through final zoning, start sales and development, build a building, it could be years. By the time you actually get to sales, those numbers could vary, pretty significantly, obviously, just because of the time lag and the cyclical nature of the real estate market. So there's plenty of times, you could sell at record high numbers, and then all of a sudden you go to close, and it's a down market, and people aren't going to show up. Sort of the nature of the business.
Okay. And so,
Can we take one quick break before you ask your next question?
yes.
Sure.
We're going off the record. The time is 12:13 p.m. This is the end of media number 3. We are back on the record. The time is 12:19 p.m. This is the start of media number 4.
Yeah, we had requested a break because I thought that the question and the answer we're not in sync with each other, and so we asked for an opportunity to clarify. So,
would you like to sort of state what you said? Because again, I guess Alan feels that perhaps you were talking about my remembering specific conversations as it relates to this paragraph as for purposes of the statement of financial condition. I was talking more generally, meaning I don't know that I remember having any involvement in preparing or giving information as it relates to the statement of financial condition. Though if people were doing something, and perhaps without my knowledge for the purposes of the statement of financial condition, as it pertains to perhaps the individual license deals that I was in charge of, they may have asked me about what I thought they would bring in. I don't, as I think I was clear, stated, I don't recall specifically any of those conversations, but that could have happened. But I guess your point is that I had no knowledge as it relates to what it was for the statement of financial condition or not, but I may have had those conversations because I would have been the point person they speak to. Is that correct?
yeah, it's your testimony that governs, obviously. But the point is, if someone approached you, and you have to testify to this, not me. If someone approached you and asked you questions about licensing deals, you would have given them answers.
Correct.
My concern was that the Attorney General's questioning referred to a particular document, and I didn't know if there was confusion about whether you were answering the questions as to the preparation of a particular document.
Yeah.
And I do think we did have Mr. Trump Jr. explain that he didn't have a specific recollection of this particular document, and that we then discussed more generally what his practice would be. But let me see if I understand this clarification.
Okay, of course.
Is it fair to say that you don't have a specific recollection of this document in front of you, which is the 2017 Statement of Financial Condition, correct?
Correct.
Or performing evaluation as identified on page 19 of this 2017 Statement of Financial Condition, right?
That's correct.
But that you do have a general understanding that if somebody had spoken to you about valuing, for example, licensing deals, you would have provided certain types of assessments, which were in the litany of examples you gave to me already, correct?
I think that's accurate.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so turning to the document, which is still Exhibit 3, and we're still on page 19, and we're still talking about the real estate licensing developments. You've already said you don't have a specific recollection of this valuation, right?
Correct.
Okay. The document identifies that the trustees worked in conjunction with their outside associates and outside professionals to come up with that value assessment. You don't have a specific recollection of doing that, right?
That's correct.
Do you have any specific knowledge as to who the associates and outside professionals are that would have done this?
I can't recall what I can't recall, sort of thing. So maybe, but I don't know off the top of my head.
Okay. Do you have a general understanding about who the associates are that assist in valuing the real estate licensing developments included in Donald J. Trump's Statement of Financial Condition?
No.
Do you have a general understanding about the outside professionals? I gotta make sure I get my question right. Do you have a general understanding about who the outside professionals are that assist in valuing the real estate licensing deals included in Mr. Donald J. Trump's financial condition statement?
Yeah, I'm not specifically sure. I guess it would depend on the individual assets or properties, but I don't know.
Okay. And as it concerns this topic, do you have any general understanding who those individuals are, the outside professionals?
I'm not sure.
Okay. All right. I had the court reporter pre-mark an Exhibit 4, and I'll just read it into the record what it is.
You want this exhibit back?
Hold on to it for a minute and leave that page open.
Got it. Oh, okay.
Thanks.
Got it.
Okay.
Got it.
So just for the record, Exhibit 4 is a document bearing an initial Bates number Mazars-NYAG-00002723 with an ending Bate number 2746. It's a June 30th, 2018 Statement of Financial Condition of Donald J. Trump issued by Mazars USA, LLP. Take a quick look, peruse through, and then I'll just note that this is the financial statement as of June 30th, 2018, and it is issued and dated by Mazars October 4th, 2018. Okay?
So this is the one for the year later.
The following year.
Got it.
Okay.
Okay, have you had a chance to just quickly peruse?
Yes.
Fair to say this is a similar document to what we were just looking at Exhibit 3, right?
Yes.
All right, I'm going to have you turn to, it's PDF 21. I think it's page 19. Give me 2 seconds and I'll tell you. Okay, turn to page 19. Bates number 2743. You can quickly read, or just a couple of questions.
Okay.
Okay. Any specific recollection about the valuation of Mr. Trump's real estate and licensing developments as those are valued in his 2018 Statement of Financial Condition? Let's start in 2017. Who in 2017 were the trustees of the trust?
I believe it was Alan Weisselberg and myself.
Okay. And at any point, were there other trustees added to the trust?
Not that I recall at this moment.
Okay. Was Eric involved in the trust?
I don't believe he was.
Why don't we show, can you grab tab 6?
Yeah, if you had a document, that would be helpful.
For sure. Thank you. This might help.
It's a good time.
Grazie mille.
Thank you.
And I'll identify for the record while you're looking through that, I've handed to the witness a document marked as Exhibit 5. It's a 2-page document, double-sided print, beginning Bates number Mazars-NIAG-00002653, ending Bates number 2655. On the cover page, it says the Donald J. Trump Revocable Trust. Do you see that document there?
I do.
Okay. And on that very first page, do you see a signature?
I do.
Do you recognize that signature?
Yes.
Whose signature is that?
I believe it is mine.
Okay. And it says Donald J. Trump Jr. underneath, right?
Yes.
And then on the subsequent 2 pages, do you recognize either of those signatures?
I do.
Who are the other 2 signatures you recognize on this document?
My brother, Eric Trump, respectively on the page above his name, and Alan Weisselberg.
Okay. All right. And does this refresh your recollection about the members overseeing the Donald J. Trump Revocable Trust in January 2017?
I'm not sure, I guess. I guess, yes.
Would you agree with me that this document identifies you as a trustee of the trust?
Yes.
Okay. And this document also identifies Alan Weisselberg as a trustee of the trust?
Yes, it seems so, though. I'm not sure the difference between trustee and business trustee from a legalese standpoint, but yes, it seems to be similar.
And for clarification purposes, it does identify Alan Weisselberg as a business trustee, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And then on the middle page, correct that it identifies Eric Trump as chairman of the advisory board of the Donald J. Trump Revocable Trust,
yes.
right? Okay. Great. It's okay. So I don't want to damage
Stable,
them.
yep.
Thank you. Okay. You've mentioned that you and Eric were responsible for the Trump Organization beginning in or about 2017.
Yes.
Did you have any understanding that Eric's role helping with the Trump Organization in any way involved his role as chairman of the advisory board of the Donald J. Trump Revocable Trust?
I'm not sure I understand the question.
Well, what is your understanding of Eric's role as chairman of the advisory board of the Donald J. Trump Revocable Trust?
He'd be involved in talking through these decisions, and while myself and Alan were the trustees, he was certainly a part of that decision-making process.
Did you ever have any understanding that Eric Trump in 2017 was a trustee for the Donald J. Revocable Trust?
I'm not sure.
You would agree with me, though, this document does not identify Eric as a trustee of the trust, right?
Correct.
Okay. I think we talked about earlier, Alan Weisselberg was removed as a trustee from the trust, right?
Correct.
Okay. Are there any other trustees appointed to the Donald J. Revocable Trust currently?
If you have a document, I don't know if Eric or someone substituted in when Weisselberg, I just don't know. If you have a document.
I don't either.
You don't have any
I don't
understanding?
recall. I may have had an understanding. I can't think of it right now.
Okay. Fair to say, though, your understanding is that currently you still are a trustee of the trust.
That's my understanding, yes.
Did Donald J. Trump ever restore any of his rights over the Donald J. It's such a tongue tie. Trust?
I'm not 100% sure. I didn't see any of that in my preparation for this, so I'm not 100% sure.
I mean, those are legal questions that we could get an answer to. I mean, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, sure. I just want to know your understanding.
Yeah, I'm just not specifically sure right now.
Okay. I think we're getting close to a lunch question, so I just want to scan through these. 2 seconds. Just a couple of questions between 2017 and 2020. While he was serving as president, was Donald J. Trump ever apprised of the status of any Trump Organization business, other than not talking about draft and final federal financial disclosures? Was he ever otherwise advised of any Trump Organization business?
I don't believe so. I certainly don't recall ever having those conversations with him, and I just kept those things separate.
Okay. While Donald Trump was president of the United States, did you ever consult with him on any business decisions concerning the Trump Organization?
No, not that I remember.
Okay. We're at a stopping point. But if we want to take lunch.
I see a lot of paper on the right side of your notebook.
I know, but
what's realistic? I mean,
we're going full day.
Oh, for sure.
Oh, sorry, off the record.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We're going off the record. The time is 1:26 p.m. This is the end of media number 4. We are back on the record. The time is 2:27 p.m. This is the start of media number 5.
Okay. Earlier I asked you a question about Chicago Unit Acquisition Company. If I said Chicago Unit Acquisition LLC, do you have any understanding as to an entity with that title?
Not to my recollection.
Okay. Do you have any understanding, withdraw and ask it again, do you have any knowledge about any entity with the name Chicago Unit Acquisition in its title?
Not that I recall.
And I had been asking a few questions earlier about your salary. I didn't ask, have you, during your time working for the Trump Organization, ever received a bonus from the organization in addition to the salary you receive?
I think in the early years, we had some bonus stuff. Yes.
When would those your early years have been?
Probably, early 2000s. I'm not sure. I don't remember when that sort of changed, but early 2000s.
Okay. And do you recall what those bonuses were based on at the time that you were receiving bonuses?
I imagine, not specifically, but performance on various deals, getting XYZ across the finish line, whatever it may have been.
Okay. Thank you. All right. Let's start talking about Mr. Trump's statement of financial condition.
Yep.
And I want to talk to you about a few of the years of the statements of financial condition, but before we go into the details of different years, I'll just ask some broader questions, okay?
Yes.
And we saw one of those statements of financial condition earlier today.
Correct.
I think it was Exhibit 3 and Exhibit 4. Those
Right.
were two examples of those statements of financial condition, okay?
Yes.
Do you have any understanding who prepares Donald J. Trump's statement of financial condition?
I believe it was Mazars LP, the accounting firm.
Okay. Do you know if there are any individuals employed by the Trump Organization who help prepare the statement of financial condition?
I would imagine, members of the accounting department, and Alan Weisselberg, Jeff McConney, some of their teams.
Okay. Are you specifically aware that those individuals help prepare Donald J. Trump's statement of financial condition, or are you just speculating?
Yeah, if you don't mind, separate what you've learned during our preparation from what you knew before, if you can do that.
Yeah, I imagine they were, but I'm not 100% sure.
Okay. Okay, now thinking about when you became a trustee for the Donald J. Trump Trust, did you have any involvement in the preparation of one or any of the statements of financial condition for Donald J. Trump?
No, not that I recall.
Okay. So fair to say you never assisted, to your knowledge, you never assisted Jeff McConney with the preparation of the Donald J. Trump statement of financial condition?
That is correct, to my knowledge.
Okay. And safe to say, to your knowledge, you never assisted Alan Weisselberg with his preparation of Donald J. Trump's statement of financial condition?
To my recollection, yes.
And just so that I want to be clearer on timing, let's just focus in on the time period between 2010 and 2017. So would your answer remain the same for that time period with regards to Jeff McConney?
Yes, to the best of my recollection.
Okay. And Alan Weisselberg, 2010, 2017, to your knowledge, you're not aware that you assisted Alan Weisselberg with the preparation of the statement of financial condition?
Correct. I'm not aware of it. That doesn't mean they perhaps didn't ask me a question that they were using to work on the statement that I was not aware of them using for the statement. But yes, I had no real involvement in the preparation of the statement on financial condition and don't really remember ever working on it with anyone.
Yeah, I mean, a fair characterization is, if I'm hearing you correctly, you don't have any specific awareness of ever assisting with the preparation of Donald J. Trump's statement of financial condition. Is that accurate?
That is accurate.
Okay. So if I asked you if you ever assisted Patrick Burney with the preparation of the statement of financial condition, is it fair that you have no specific recollection of assisting Patrick Burney in that regard?
That's correct.
Same thing, Ray Flores. Have any experience assisting Ray Flores in the preparation of the statement of financial condition?
Same answer.
Okay. Sorry. Do you recognize the name Patrick Burney, B-I-R-N-E-Y?
Yes.
Who do you understand Patrick Burney to be?
A gentleman who works in our accounting department.
Do you know his title?
No.
Do you know who he reports to?
Alan Weisselberg, Jeff McConney, and I'd be speculating on he probably works for a couple other people and has done stuff for them, but those would be probably the primary two.
Okay. Do you know him outside of the work he performs for the Trump Organization? Like, do you have a friendship with Mr. Burney?
He's a nice guy, but no, not really.
Ray Flores, do you know who that is?
I do.
Who's he?
Worked in our development team. Worked in the development team.
Okay. Does he still work on the development team?
No.
Where does he work now?
He recently took another job at another development company.
Do you know which development company he's with?
I don't recall, no.
When did he leave the Trump Organization?
Within the last few months.
So within the 2022 year?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay. Was it an acrimonious departure, or what do you know about the nature of his departure?
Nothing. I just think he got a great job offer to move up in the ranks and took it.
Okay. And the nature of your relationship with Ray Flores outside of the Trump Organization?
Cordial, but no, I generally separate those.
Okay. So no personal friendship with Ray Flores outside of the work he performed for the Trump Organization?
No, I mean, on these deals when you're traveling all over the world and you're sometimes together, you obviously strike a relationship, but it's generally based on, we're not going to the Giants game together and stuff like that, but we're friendly.
Okay. Do you contact Ray Flores outside of the confines of work you're performing for the Trump Organization?
Not to my recollection, no.
Okay. Is Ray Flores a contact in your personal phone?
No, I don't make a distinction between my contacts. So if you're in my contacts, you're in my contacts.
Got it. So we talked about Trump International Realty before. Are you familiar with whether Trump International Realty ever had a role in helping to prepare Mr. Trump's statement of financial condition during the time period 2010 forward?
I've heard about some instances in my preparation for this, but I was not aware of it before.
Okay.
Or had no knowledge of it, I should say, before.
So when you were preparing to meet with me for this examination, did you review any documents concerning the Trump International Realty's role with the statement of financial condition?
I don't know if I reviewed documents or if it was conversational, but I think we discussed it briefly.
Okay. So fair to say you had no role in connection with Trump International Realty assisting with the preparation of the statement of financial condition, right?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. Have you ever had any role in reviewing Donald J. Trump's statement of financial condition before it was? Oh, it did. Thank you. Sorry. Have you ever had any role in reviewing Donald J. Trump's statement of financial condition before it was finalized?
Not that I can recall, no.
And I'll just sort of add some years to that. Between 2017 and present, have you had any role in reviewing the statement of financial condition of Donald J. Trump before it was finalized?
Not that I recall, no.
Have you ever had any role, this is between 2017 and present, have you ever had any role in approving the statement of financial condition for Donald J. Trump?
No, not that I recall.
Okay. Between 2017 and present, have you ever had any role in determining the value of an asset listed in the statement of financial condition for Donald J. Trump?
Not that I specifically recall. Again, people may have asked me about stuff tangentially that I gave them an answer to that they may have then utilized as a basis of knowledge to come up with whatever, but no, not specifically as it relates to your knowledge about the financial statement.
Okay. Have you ever had a role in submitting Donald J. Trump's statement of financial condition between 2017 and present, submitting it to a bank for any purpose?
I guess, yeah, I can answer the question, I think, but like, I don't think I ever submitted it myself. I know I've signed some of his certifications.
So, yeah, I guess let me see if I can clarify. I guess the word that we're both caught up on is submitting. So the submitting sounds to me like, okay, it's in my email, I'm emailing it to the bank. If that's what you mean, I think he can easily answer the question. If what you mean is, did you sign a certification, which then was used maybe as part of a larger package of materials, that's where there's a little bit of confusion.
Okay. So when I use the term submit the statement of financial condition to a bank, what do you understand the term submit to mean?
That I would have been, giving it to the bank.
Directly giving it?
Directly to the bank, and I don't think I ever did that. I know I signed, a certificate that I think used perhaps information within the financial, the statement of financial conditions, as a backstop to meet certain thresholds of those certifications, and so I'm aware of, that being a basis there, but that's it.
Okay. So let's take a couple of steps back, and I think we can get to some documents that might help clarify the conversation.
Sure.
But is it fair to say that between 2017 and present, you've had the responsibility to certify certain information to financial institutions that relate to Donald Trump's statement of financial condition?
We can play the semantics game, but I
relate
don't
to
want to.
probably-
Relate to is probably okay. So I guess, yes, in that I signed certificates that said his net worth met a minimum threshold of $2.5 billion, which I think it easily did.
Okay. We'll look at some of those certifications, so we'll get into the trenches of the
Sure.
language then. So fair to say that between 2017 and present, you signed certifications that was submitted to banks, right?
Correct.
Okay. How about whether you had any role in submitting, meaning you specifically sent to an insurance company Donald J. Trump's statement of financial condition between 2017 and present?
Not that I remember, but possibly.
And another clarifying question. If you hadn't directly taken Donald J. Trump's statement of financial condition for any particular year, so whether it was 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020, if you hadn't specifically handed or emailed directly that document to someone, you would not consider that submitting the document. Is that fair?
I don't recall doing it, so I don't know that it matters. But
you're using the word submit. Maybe you're the one defining your own word. So
I think what I'm trying to understand is a distinction between you sending a document or directing someone else to send the document.
Okay.
It sounds like you don't have a specific recollection.
And I'm not sure I even ever directed someone to send a document. It may have been part of a checklist that legal with accounting would have gone through. This is what's owed or submitted to the bank on an annual basis. I'm signing the certificate based on, again, what the accountants, hey, are we clear? Have we met all the thresholds? Lawyers, have we met all the thresholds? Are we okay for me to sign on this? Yes, we have. Okay, here's your certificate. Now, if they then take the certificate and submit it with the statement of financial condition, I don't know, and I don't know that I necessarily directed them to do that. They're just following the procedures of whatever the loan documents would have been, perhaps, in that case. Does that make sense?
Totally makes sense.
Okay.
Thanks. Okay. Do you have any understanding of how the statement of financial condition is compiled each year?
I really have had almost no involvement in it.
Okay. Do you have any understanding that an outside accounting firm named Mazars is responsible for compiling the statement of financial condition for Donald J. Trump?
Yes, I am aware of that.
Okay. And since 2021, do you have any knowledge about an outside accounting firm named Whitley Penn compiling the statement of financial condition for Donald J. Trump?
Yes.
Fair to say, based on your responses we've been discussing so far, that you have no recollection of being involved with either Mazars or Whitley Penn in their compilation of the statement of financial condition?
That is correct.
Okay. And fair to say the answer would be the same if I asked you about Jeff McConney's role in working with Mazars or Whitley Penn to compile the statement of financial condition?
meaning, hold on a second, meaning, does he have any knowledge of Jeff McConney's role compiling the SOFC with those accounting firms?
He worked with McConney working with Mazars. So there's the internal work?
I do not specifically recall ever working with Jeff McConaughey in the capacity of him compiling information to give to either one of those firms for the purposes of compiling information for the statement of financial condition.
Or with regards to Trump Organization and Mazars or Whitley Penn, depending on the time period, are now in the statement of financial condition. It's a compilation. Do you understand the meaning of the term as I use it, compilation?
I believe so, yes.
As opposed to an audit
Correct.
or review. Okay, so the statement of financial condition is a compilation. When the accounting firm is involved, there's a lot of interaction external to the Trump Organization. So I'm just confirming that you have no specific recollection of having a role in that process.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you. And it's fair to say you have no understanding specifically about how Mazars performs the compilation each year?
That's correct.
Are you aware of whose responsibility it was to interact with Mazars on the work on the SOFC, or Statement of Financial Condition?
Again, separating what information you may have learned in the last month or so from.
Well, I mean, that still would have gone through Alan Weisselberg or Jeff McConaughey, or.
But that's a general knowledge, not specific as to any particular year or any particular SOFC, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Okay, are you aware that the Trump Organization sends financial information to Mazars that Mazars then uses in a financial statement format?
Yes.
Okay. Are you aware that that results in a statement of financial condition for Donald J. Trump?
Not specifically, but we've used Mazars for, well, back when it was Wiser, essentially 20-something years. They're a big five accounting firm. They're also, I guess, involved in the individual, in most cases, they're probably preparing the tax returns and have all the information, all the individual LLCs and assets and all of that combined. So yes, I would think they would have to be involved because they're the accountants usually on the property level as well. So they have all that information, whether they got that from Trump, whether they got that from the individual assets, that I don't specifically know.
Okay. Concerning the statement of financial condition, are you aware, or let me restate it. Concerning the statement of financial condition, are you familiar with the spreadsheet of supporting information that the Trump Organization's accounting department sends each year to Mazars?
Really, in preparation for this, but that's about I've seen it in preparation for this, but I don't know that I'd seen it beforehand.
Okay. Why don't we put up 7A? So I don't have a document to give you, Linda. I'll state on the record a document that I'm going to share. We'll mark it as Exhibit 5 or 6. You don't have to mark anything. It's going to be a... Okay. Okay, so the record is clear. I've marked as Exhibit 6 a spreadsheet that's being projected on this screen. Spreadsheets are really hard to print out, so we're going to go the virtual format. It is a document with a header, Donald J. Trump, Statement of Financial Condition as of June 30th, 2017. I'll represent to you, it's just one sheet, even though there's 3 tabs at the bottom of the screen. And there's a bunch of rows with assets listed and 2 columns of dates, June 30th, 2017, June 30th, 2016, with computations in rows underneath. So we'll mark that as Exhibit 6, and then I'll just ask you, is this an example of a spreadsheet, a supporting data spreadsheet you've seen in preparation for today?
As an example, yes. I don't know if I saw the specific one or not, but
the one, so to clarify, I just want to make sure the record's clear. The one we, at least we reviewed, was 2013 and was an exhibit. I believe it was one of the exhibits to the preliminary. To
the complaint, petition.
Right, your petition.
Okay.
I don't recall seeing. I don't recall if this was an exhibit or not. I don't recall seeing this one.
Okay. So, Mr. Trump, separate and apart from your preparations with counsel, are you otherwise familiar with this spreadsheet or other years' versions of this spreadsheet?
not that I recall.
Okay. Have you ever reviewed this spreadsheet of supporting information, regardless of what the year, with the Trump Organization accounting department in order to send it to Mazars?
Not that I remember, no.
Okay. I'll also represent to you that in addition to this spreadsheet, the Trump Organization sends documents that support entries within this spreadsheet. I'll call those documents backup, okay?
Sure.
Have you ever seen any of the backup that's been sent to Mazars used in connection with spreadsheets like the one on the screen?
I don't know, not specifically as it relates to this that I'm aware of. That doesn't mean, if they asked about the licensing deals we were talking about earlier, hey, Don, what do you think the valuation would be? I may have inadvertently be helping them with the backup, not knowing that it was the backup for this purpose. Is that fair?
Sure.
Okay.
So is it a fair characterization? You have no specific recollection of intentionally providing backup for purposes of the SOFC compilation,
Yes,
right?
that's fair. Thank
Okay, great.
Just to be clear, I don't need to add a question to you, but in the 2013 document, there was a reference to 40 Wall Street and a Dunkin' Donuts. So the same question would be, okay, if he received a call, tell me about available lease.
We'll get there.
Okay, yeah, I figured you'd get to that.
We'll get there.
I think that was the example I remembered. So yes, I may have been helping, not knowing, but they call me about leasing a donut shop. I may have given them an answer to say, hey, I think it's worth X. That may have been utilized, but I didn't know that it was being utilized for this purpose. Yeah.
So, just so that I can clean all this up, sounds like in the course of your discussion, preparations with counsel, you may have reviewed a spreadsheet similar to Exhibit 6, which is on the screen.
Correct.
From 2013, right?
I don't remember what the date was, but I remember it because it was brought to my attention because I guess I had a footnote, Dunkin' Donuts lease as per conversation with Don Jr. I did all the leasing of the lovely building over your right shoulder, and I'd be remiss as a Trump to not point out the lovely real estate that sits right there, and I get to stare at all day. So, but yes, so I remember and saw that.
I'm just going to note for the record, the shades are down.
Listen, they're not that down. I can still see probably about 30,000 square foot of floor plate. Have you thought about moving offices, Kelly?
Always a deal maker.
Listen, some shit you can't turn off.
Okay, so regardless of the year that you can specifically recall reviewing with counsel, fair to say that you did review a spreadsheet that indicated a conversation with you as part of a calculation for 40 Wall Street. Does that sound like a fair characterization?
Yes, as preparation for this.
Okay, and you don't have a specific recollection of that phone call, is that right?
I don't. It's a 1 million square foot building. I did hundreds of thousands of square feet of leasing, and I probably remember vaguely talking about a donut shop, and then it was going to be a coffee shop, and then it became a pizza shop, and but they would, if I was the point person on that deal, they would, hey, what's going on with leasing? Can you tell me the most recent? They obviously have, and would have access to the information of deals that were signed, but there could be 100,000 square feet of space in the hopper, close to signing. Like I got a handshake, I know the guy, it's going to happen, or who knows, So yes.
Okay. So, sort of closing out this point, to the extent in any of these spreadsheets that I've seen where your name is listed, you have no specific recollection of being the source of data for purposes of valuing an asset for Mr. Trump's statement of financial condition.
Yeah, I don't remember any involvement in that. Now, I've only seen, I believe it was the one spreadsheet, so I can say to that, you could show me another example, maybe if there could be hundreds of examples, I don't know. I've only seen the one. Maybe you put something in front of me that I then do recall, I don't know, but I can't think of another one off the top of my head because I just wasn't involved, so I wouldn't even know that I was a footnote in the backup documents to the statement of financial condition without seeing it because I've only seen one document that even reflects that and I don't recall any others.
Do you recall being the source of evaluation for Trump Park Avenue in 2010?
I don't.
Okay. Would it have been relevant to you to know that the numbers you were being asked for in these calls, that those numbers were going to be used for the SFC, statement of financial condition?
At the time, probably not. Right? I mean, now the statement of financial condition is a bigger deal because we're talking about it and it's been, but at the time I'm not sure I would have thought about it too significantly.
So if would it have impacted your response on those calls that we've been discussing if you knew it was for purposes of valuing an asset on the statement of financial condition?
No, because I would have given them, I'd given them an honest opinion of what's going on in the real world because, that's what I'd be doing. If they're asking me a question, I'm going to give them an honest answer of what I think the assessment would be.
Okay. We've sort of talked about it a little bit, and Sam, you can take that down, please, and thank you. That the Trump Organization has submitted the Donald J. Trump Statement of Financial Condition to banks in connection with loans. Are you aware of that?
Yes.
Okay. Are you aware of any terms in bank loans that required that submission of Mr. Trump's Statement of Financial Condition?
I don't know when I was made aware of that. I imagine some of it I was made aware of before, but most of my recollection on these things would have been as it pertains to in preparation for this.
Okay. How about during the period of time between 2017 and present, when you were acting as trustee over the Donald J. Trump Trust? Were you aware of those terms within bank loans at that time?
I'm sure I was, because I was being asked to sign something. I just don't recall specifically being, specifically recall that.
Do you have any knowledge of such a requirement with regards to a Deutsche Bank loan?
Yes.
What's your knowledge with regards to Deutsche Bank?
Well, we were in doing this, talking about there had to be a minimum threshold in terms of net worth requirement. Essentially like a debt service coverage ratio. You had to meet a net worth standard of $2.5 billion to remain, solvent on some of the guarantees on the loan, and I believe we made those thresholds easily.
Anything else that you can recall with regards to the submission of the statement of financial condition for Deutsche Bank?
Well, I'd say it's more, if I could, with more respect to your certification. I mean, the certification would speak for
The
itself.
big one that I remember is the, sort of the break point of, things got problematic if you fell below $2.5 billion in net worth. There could be some other things. If you ask me specifically, maybe I'll recall it, but I don't remember at the moment.
Okay. Just so that I want to make sure that we're talking the same language.
Okay.
I asked whether there were any terms in bank loans that required the submission of Mr. Trump's statement of financial condition.
Bank loans.
Bank loans.
Can you ask him whether he ever reviewed the bank loan documents? Maybe that's the question.
Yeah, I don't recall reviewing the documents, for that. I know there was threshold requirements. I don't know if that meant, were you actually also then submitting the, perhaps, I'm not sure though. I'm just not sure.
Okay. How about terms of bank loans that required the submission of the SOFC with regards to Cap 1?
I don't recall. I wasn't really involved in the Capital One deal.
Okay. Do you have any knowledge about the terms, the loan terms with regards to the submission of the statement of financial condition with the financial institution ladder?
No, I didn't have any involvement really in those deals that I remember.
Do you have any knowledge about the loan deal with Bryn Mawr?
No.
Do you have any knowledge about loans with Investors Bank?
Not that I recall, no.
Do you have any knowledge about the loan terms with Axos Bank?
Wasn't involved in that either, no.
Are you aware of the recent loan transaction with Axos Bank?
Yes.
Were you involved in that loan deal?
I was not.
Who was involved in that loan deal?
Primarily, I guess, point person on that would have been my brother, Eric.
Who executed those loan documents?
I'm not sure.
Is it possible that you could have been involved in executing the Axos Bank loan documents?
I could have perhaps signed as a trustee and just, that's very possible. I don't know.
Okay. You don't have a specific recollection about the recent loan deal with Axos Bank, is that fair?
That's correct.
Okay. Are you aware of any bank loans that the Trump Organization secured which required the submission of Donald J. Trump's statement of financial condition as a condition precedent to lending?
Not specifically, I guess. I don't know. Yeah. Not that I can recall. It may have been there as part of a covenant. I just don't specifically remember.
Okay, so no specific knowledge. Do you have any general knowledge as to that?
Not really, no.
Okay.
I mean, I just want to make sure we're not talking past each other here. You could ask him, I don't know if you were either before or now of like, are you talking about like personal guarantees and how personal guarantees react with the loan?
So
That's what I'm not, that's what I'm a little confused about.
Well, so the submission of the statement as a condition precedent is one thing.
Mm-hmm.
Personal guarantee is another.
But I thought the submission of the SOFC was part of this, of the kind of the condition of the personal guarantee. The personal guarantee, this was like a piece of that. Now, I don't want to speak for you, and you're asking the questions, but I just want to make sure we're all kind of on the same, talking about the same vegetables here,
Yep.
so to speak.
I think we are, and I'm not sure exactly which, if we're going to break it down that specifically, I don't know which one it would be. I know there's a general requirement. Again, I ask, a major accounting firm, hey, are we in the clear with this? They prepared those documents. Hey, you're nowhere near. You're at $5 billion, 2.5. Okay, we're in the clear. I'm comfortable signing off that we're in those positions, and off the top of my head, I could value a bunch of our assets and get to that number easily, sort of thing. Is that okay? Fair? Safe?
Sounds like when we start talking about the certificates, that you're describing a process that you went through in order to assure yourself that you could sign those certificates for bank loan covenants.
That's correct.
Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. And my next question, Alan,
Perfect.
related to the personal
Look at you.
guarantees.
It's like you've done this before, Alan.
Sorry.
I do men's hair, so
I know.
it's part of my job.
I just want to make sure we're all talking about the same thing at the same time. That's all. I'm sorry.
And the question was, are you aware of personal guarantees by Donald Trump that were important components of any loan transactions he had?
I am, yes.
Which of those loan transactions are you aware of?
Primarily the ones as it relates to Deutsche Bank, which would have been the old post office, would have been Doral down in Miami, and Chicago, I think, had guarantees.
Anything else that you can think of?
There may be, but those are the ones I have off the top of my head.
Okay. And fair to say that beginning in 2017, when you took over as trustee of the Donald J. Trump Trust, that you had certain responsibilities related to those personal guarantees. 17, addressed to Alan Weisselberg, the Executive Vice President and Chief Financial Officer at the Trump Organization, 725 Fifth Avenue, New York, New York. Take a minute to look that over, and I'll ask you some questions.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Okay. All right. Mr. Trump, are you aware that from each year, beginning at least in 2011 to present, well, sorry, let me do that again. Are you aware? Somebody get locked out?
No, that was Eric. It wasn't closed.
Oh, okay. Okay, got it.
Fair enough.
Maintaining the confidence of the room. All right, Mr.
We can
Trump.
live stream this. Fun. Get
No.
viewership of none.
Let's move on. It's
No,
a long
no,
day.
no.
Let's go on, please.
Keep those Twitter fingers away.
Oh.
All right. So let's start that question again. All right, Mr. Trump, are you aware that for each year, from at least 2011 until 2020, that the Trump Organization signed an engagement letter with Mazars to commence each year's engagement to compile this Mr. Trump's statement of financial condition?
I'm not aware that they signed a new engagement letter each year. We'd worked with them for so long. I didn't know that was even part of it still.
Okay. Are you generally aware that an engagement letter was signed in order for Mazars to compile the statement of financial condition for Mr. Trump?
This is actually the first I'm being made aware of it, to my knowledge.
Okay. Did you have any general awareness that these engagement letters, similar to the one in front of you, were addressed to, signed by Alan Weisselberg as Chief Financial Officer for the Trump Organization?
To the best of my recollection, this is the first time I'm seeing it, so no.
Okay. How about whether you were aware that with respect to 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020, that these engagement letters were directed to the trustees of the Donald J. Trump Revocable Trust?
I have vague recollection of that because that's when I would have had some sort of peripheral involvement in the compilation.
Okay. Describe for me the vague recollection that you do have?
I believe either Alan or someone just mentioned to me that these were going on. The engagement letters were signed, but I don't have the specific recollection of any of that, really.
Okay. Any general awareness of the substance of those engagement letters?
Not really.
Okay. Any specific knowledge of the substance of those engagement letters with Mazars?
Not that I can recall right now.
And I'll just frame your mind to the period when you were in your capacity as trustee of the Donald J. Trump Revocable Trust. Any specific knowledge there?
I may have had some, but not that I recall.
Okay. Are you familiar with regards, let's focus your mind on the time period when you were serving as trustee, so for 2017 forward. Are you familiar with the fact that the substance of the Mazars engagement letters stated that they were compiling Mr. Trump's financial statements based on information provided by the Trump Organization?
I think I'm reading that now for the first time in this.
Other than your current reading, did you have any familiarity with that?
Not that I remember. I mean, Mazars or Weiser before it was doing this stuff at Trump Org for 30 years, so I just assumed they had everything they ever needed, and a lot of that would have been compiled by themselves.
Okay. Again, keeping you in the time frame between 2017 and present, did you have any knowledge that the substance of the Mazars engagement letter stated that Mazars would not review or audit such information provided by the Trump Organization or provide any assurance that material modifications were not required for Mr. Trump's statement of financial condition to be GAAP compliant.
I don't remember that, so I don't know.
Any general understanding about Mazars taking the position that it wouldn't review or audit the information provided in connection with the compilation of the statement of financial condition?
Not really. I guess it sounds a little surprising given, again, that they were sort of the individual tax firm dealing with probably doing the returns for each and every one of the individual assets that would have comprised anything that they would have assembled. So it sounds strange, but I don't know.
Is it your understanding that the Mazars engagement letters, again focusing 2017 forward, made clear that other than expressly enumerated departures from GAAP, Mr. Trump's statement of financial condition were to be prepared in accordance with GAAP?
I don't remember.
No specific recollection, right?
No.
Would you agree with me that the Mazars engagement letters between 2017 and present generally made clear that the client, which included Mr. Donald J. Trump, the Trump Organization, and included the trustees, are responsible for the preparation and fair presentation of Mr. Trump's statement of financial condition in accordance with GAAP, and for designing, implementing, and maintaining internal controls relevant to the preparation and fair presentation of those financial statements, as well as for preventing and detecting fraud?
I don't know.
Did you have any understanding generally that Mazars assigned responsibility for the fair presentation of factual information contained in the statement of financial condition to the client, which would be Mr. Trump and the Trump Organization and trustees?
I'm not sure I understood the question.
Yeah, it's a little complicated. In other words, did you understand that in the engagements with Mazars in connection with the compilation of the statement of financial condition, Mazars assigned responsibility for truthful statements, material information, accuracy to the client?
I may have had that understanding right now. I don't recall specifically. If I did or not at the time, again, it sort of seems like an odd thing all of a sudden after 30 years of doing each and every tax return, probably, to do that. But I may have at the time. I just don't remember.
So just so that I understand your response, is it fair to say that you, in responding to my questions, expect Mazars should have known that material information relating to the facts presented by the Trump Organization because of its work on the tax portion of financial?
I guess I'm trying to see some of the semantics of the language in the letter. I can't tell if was that always the language from the engagement letters from 2011 and on, or did it become sort of a, let's call it, cover your ass language later on after 30 years of doing a tax return? I don't recall, so I can't tell, but the language sounds odd for an accounting firm that has literally done all of your accounting forever and is dealing with people even on property levels. So I just don't know. I don't have a specific recollection of it. I may have been made aware of some of this language at the time, but I don't specifically recall.
Well, parsing through that answer, was there a time period when you received a cover your ass note from Mazars?
I don't know. The language seems sort of odd, and I don't know if that's standard language. I'm not familiar enough with these documents, especially going back to, I guess you said, there were engagement letters about statement of financial condition starting in 2011, earlier. So I'm just not sure if this is a change. I don't really know. So I'm trying to get you the best answer I possibly can, but I don't know what I didn't know. I don't know what changed, and I don't have a specific recollection of, going through this, though I may have.
Okay. And just so that I'm clear, do you understand this engagement letter to relate to tax work?
I don't know what it relates to. It's 12 pages. I didn't get to read the whole thing.
Okay, I'll represent to you that this engagement letter relates to work performed by Mazars on the compilation of the statement of financial condition. Okay. Accepting that representation, do you then associate such an engagement letter with tax work performed by Mazars?
No, I guess I associate it with just an intimate knowledge of our business, which would have been, whether it was tax work or otherwise, would have still gone into the statement of financial condition.
Okay, so fair to say Mazars, as the accountant for the Trump Organization, was familiar with both the taxes that the tax documents it prepared for the Trump Organization, as you understand it, right?
Yes.
And Mazars also had other familiarity with the financial state of the Trump Organization, including for purposes of the financial condition of Donald J. Trump, correct? Your understanding?
Yes. Exactly.
Okay.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
Well said.
Okay. But again, just being really clear, because I don't want you to give me answers if you don't have knowledge. You don't have any specific knowledge about the engagement letters with Mazars concerning the compilation of Donald J. Trump's statement of financial condition, right?
Correct. Not that I recall.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, we can put that to the side. All right, so we just looked at an engagement letter. We're going to pull up another tab. 16, we may or may not do 17. You sure? 13?
Sorry for being on my phone. I've got to let my daughter know I will not be at the office at 5 o'clock.
Tell her. Let her know,
It could
Alan.
happen. So just go ahead. Go ahead. I just got to let her know.
Blame it on the Chelsea Clinton lookalike.
Wow. The restraint I'm able to show is really remarkable, frankly, Coach. I mean, just so everyone just thinks I'm a hothead. That's, man, it's if only they knew.
No, you know,
Only
I
they knew.
have literally had decades of being called her. In fact, I've been at a Yankees game where for like 3 to 4 innings, people were chanting, Chelsea Clinton, Whitewater, you name it. We're off the record. Yeah. Huh?
Yeah.
Well, growing up as a kid, Chelsea, she and I are similar in age. Oh, can you turn off?
No, this is good. This is good stuff.
People often confuse me with Donald Trump Jr.
We're going off the record. The time is 4:02 p.m. This is the end of meeting. We are back on the record. The time is 4:03 p.m. This is the start of media number 7.
Okay, while you're reviewing that, I'll just mark for the record, Exhibit 13 is a, are we 14 or 13? Yeah. So we've marked Exhibit 13. It is a 3-page document bearing an initial Bates number, Mazars NIAG-00001805, and an ending Bates number 1807. On the cover appears letterhead, the Trump Organization at 725 Fifth Avenue, New York, New York, 1022, dated October 30th, 2017, addressed to Mazars USA LLP at Woodbury, New York. Take a moment to review that, and I'll ask you some questions when you're ready.
Okay.
Okay. Turn to page 3 of this document, Mr. Trump. There are some signatures on that page. Do you recognize any of those signatures?
Yes.
Which signatures do you recognize?
Alan Weisselberg's and myself. My own.
Yourselves? And is it correct you've signed as Executive Vice President, right?
Yes.
And that's your title for the Trump Organization, correct?
Correct.
And then there's also the line here, it says trustee for the Donald J. Trump Revocable Trust, dated April 7th, 2014, right?
Correct.
Okay. Do you recall signing this rep letter, as I'm identifying it, on October 30th, 2017?
Not specifically, no.
Do you specifically recall having seen this document that is placed in front of you at Exhibit 13?
No, and I don't even think I saw this in review, so probably haven't seen it since I signed it.
Okay. Do you have a general recollection of this document?
Not really, no.
Do you have a general recollection of Mazars' rep letters, as I've been describing them?
Not really, no.
Okay. Were you aware that for each year from 2011 to 2020, that Alan Weisselberg, as Chief Financial Officer of the Trump Organization, signed a rep letter submitted on behalf of the Trump Organization, Mr. Trump, and the Trust in connection with Mazars' actual issuance of their completed statement of financial condition for Donald Trump?
Not that I recall.
You have no recollection that Alan Weisselberg did, in fact, sign these things. Is that fair?
Yeah, I have no recollection of being aware that he was signing those things from those dates.
Okay. Have you ever had to approve Alan Weisselberg's signature on the representation letters sent to Mazars in connection with Donald J. Trump's statement of financial condition?
I don't know.
Okay. In connection with Mazars' work in compiling Donald J. Trump's statement of financial condition, between 2017 to present, the Trump Organization presented this letter in 2017 and materially similar letters in 18, 19, and 20.
Okay.
What role did you have in drafting these representation letters to Mazars, if any?
I don't know. I don't know that I had much of a role in drafting the letter, if any.
Do you have any understanding as to what role this representation letter at Exhibit 13 has in order for Mazars to issue Donald J. Trump's statement of financial condition?
Not specifically.
Okay. All right. So looking at the first page, in the third paragraph, it's a brief sentence. Do you see that there?
Yes.
There's a line that begins, "We confirm," and then if you follow what the confirmation is, into the next line, beginning with point 1, it says, "You're confirming our responsibility and have fulfilled our responsibilities for the preparation and fair presentation of the personal financial statement in accordance with accounting principles generally accepted in the United States of America." Did I read that right?
I believe so.
Okay, and then if you take a look at the second page, it represents, let's look at point 2, that we have made available to you all financial records and related data and any additional information you requested from us for the purpose of this compilation. We have not knowingly withheld from you any financial records or related data that, in our judgment, would be relevant to your compilation. Right? Is that what it says?
I believe so, yes.
And then let's jump to page 3 at paragraph 13, which represents that we have identified all accounting estimates that could be material to the financial statement, including key factors and significant assumptions underlying those estimates, and we believe the estimates are reasonable in the circumstances, right?
Yes.
And you signed this document, correct?
Yes.
Fair to say you signed that document agreeing with the statements included in this representation letter, right?
Yes.
What did you do to assure yourself of the accuracy of the information before signing this rep letter?
I would speak to the people, involved in this case. Obviously, an accounting letter and an accounting representation. I would speak to, whoever, was involved in preparing this. Though I imagine this was also a legal document to make sure that they believed, all the representations to be accurate and that I was, safe to sign.
Okay, and just so we're clear, you don't have a specific recollection as to this particular document at Exhibit 13, right?
That's correct. Whether it's the certifications to the bank, the accounting department, the CFO, their chief legal counsel, those people would have more intimate understanding of the specifics of those things. And whoever was bringing me a document, if it was more accounting, it was probably from accounting. If it was more legal, it would be from legal. And are we okay signing this document? Do you believe it to be honest and accurate? And if they were okay with it, they'd have much more knowledge than I'd ever be able to amass. And so I would sign it.
Okay. And generally for the rep letters to Mazars, the individuals you would consult to assure yourself of that signature, that would be the accounting folks. Who are those accounting folks?
Probably Alan Weisselberg and or Jeff McConney.
Okay. And no specific recollection?
There may have been legal involved in this as well, just because of it sort of reads like a legal letter more than an accounting letter, and so that could have also been Alan Garten and or his team.
Is it part of your practice to consult with legal when you're signing documents that you're sending to Mazars?
Well, it's still an engagement letter, so it's sort of a legal, there's a legal component to these things. So I probably...
This is a rep letter?
I may have. I don't know specifically. Again, we're talking generally as it relates to these sort of signing as, on behalf of or as trustee for.
Okay. Okay, we can put that aside. I'm going to pull out another document. This will be Exhibit 14. Hold on. Actually, give me 5 minutes. I think I want to cut that. Can we go off the record?
You literally want to take a couple seconds?
Before we do, let me just ask this question.
No problem.
Sorry.
No problem.
Okay. Just circling back on a response you were giving me while we were in the colloquy about Mazars, how
Okay.
they did tax work, how they were working on the compilation, right?
Yes.
Okay. In your view, is it fair to say that the work Mazars did for the Trump Organization, apart from compiling the Statement of Financial Condition, that work provided Mazars access with factual information that it would need to value the properties?
I think they had all the information that we had, probably. They were intimately involved in our businesses and preparing the tax returns for all of those businesses for decades. So I would think they'd have whatever they needed to assemble that. That may not be what they do, but they certainly had as much access to anything as anyone would have. This isn't a firm that started working for us 2 weeks ago. They're still trying to learn. They've done everything since longer than I was there.
Okay. And they could have valued the properties with that information?
Again, I don't know if they're doing valuations per se, but they would be able to take a cap rate given to them by a thing and say, hey, net operating income is XYZ based on that, and perhaps do that. I don't know if they did or not. Again, I'm not sure if your question is, did they do that, or would they have the capability of doing it given the information that they have? But I think they had whatever information imaginable.
Okay. All right, let's take 5 minutes.
Yes.
Ready?
Okay.
We are back on the record. The time is 4:31 p.m. This is the start of media number 8.
Okay. I'm going to switch gears a little bit.
Yeah.
Have you ever requested a detailed analysis of the Trump Organization's projected and actual net cash flow between 2017 and 2020?
Not that I remember.
Okay. Do you have any reason to think that you would have requested such a detailed analysis of projected and actual net cash flow?
Not that I recall, no.
Okay. I'm going to mark a document. We can talk about it. Maybe this will help. This will be 15? 14 was the certification one. Oh, no. Yeah.
You can change your answer if you want.
No, I don't. Again, I don't recall the specifics. I imagine the document you're going to show me. Maybe I'll look at it and I can tell you sort of maybe where it could have stemmed from. So.
Are you thinking about a particular document?
Yeah.
What are you thinking about before I show you?
Go ahead.
Well,
We are back on the record. The time is 5:21 p.m. This is the start of media number 9.
Nothing to discuss? Everything okay?
We could add
it seems to me, because the numbers threw out at the end, it seems to me like there's probably just a typo. I've never distributed income to my son. I give him the sort of annual allowed by whatever it is now, $15,000 a year. I put it in a savings account for them, and I do that every year. But I've never, certainly to my knowledge, distributed $350,000. So perhaps it was just an accounting error. I was telling Alan, there were deals.
What you tell me is privileged. But
Well,
whatever.
I'm sort of just trying. There were certain deals in TTT, like if I'm 6 years older than Eric, there were deals that I worked on that was getting sort of consulting fees before he may have started working in the company. Just because he started working in the company didn't mean he was getting a piece of those deals, because he had nothing, it didn't have as much to do with them. So perhaps there was something to that effect where there was a distribution from a deal that wasn't going there. I don't know specifically, but I know I wasn't distributing that much money to my son. So I just assume it's just an error in terms of, someone putting that in there.
How would your son, and correct me if I'm wrong, but your son was about 6 years old in 2015, right?
In 2015, he's 13 now, so.
So how would your 6-year-old son have become a typographical error in a detailed general ledger?
I don't know. I don't know that I've ever seen this general ledger before.
Okay. Any knowledge whatsoever of your son having performed any work whatsoever at 6 years of old for TTT Consulting?
No, nothing. No.
Okay. So is there any tax document that might reflect that your son did not, in fact, receive these consulting fees as it's reflected in this line entry?
I don't know. I've never seen this before, so I have no idea.
I imagine there must be some tax form in your possession that would reflect that you received a distribution from TTT Consulting, correct?
I would imagine so, yeah.
Okay. So, Counsel, Mr. Trump, I'll just ask for you to look for something that can just maybe explain away that discrepancy.
Fair enough.
That you did, in fact, receive the distribution for the first quarter 2015 consulting fees with a transaction date of April 23rd, 2015 in the amount of $350,076, or that you received the sum total of $567,998 for this quarter's distribution. Does all that make sense, Alan?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. We can put that document away. I have a quick question. Let's do tab 22. Thank you. So we'll mark this as exhibit 16, JC Sai. Grazie mille. Oh, no. Okay, the second page that goes with it? There's two. It's the initialed. Oh, did you make it a second document? I don't think so. I have it. Yes, thank you. Okay. I don't have my stapler. I'll represent to you that what I'm going to hand you, which we're marking as Exhibit 16, is an email with the attachment. So the second page is the attachment that goes with it.
Okay.
Thank you. What? Okay, and while you're looking at that document, I'll just identify for the record that Exhibit 16 is a two-page document bearing an initial Bates number TTO_030436 with an attachment that is TTO_030437. Okay, do you see that document in front of you?
I do.
Okay, and this appears to be an email from you to Jeff McConney, Ivanka Trump, Eric Trump. It's a forward, and in the subject of, or in the body of your message, it says signed TTT. Do you see that there?
I do.
Okay, and let's look at the attachment. It appears to be a spreadsheet, right?
Yes.
Okay. Remember earlier I asked you what an initial from Donald Trump looked like?
Yes.
Do you see at the bottom of the spreadsheet there appears to be some handwritten marker on the document?
I do.
Is that the initial from Donald J. Trump that you mentioned earlier?
It looks like it, yes.
Okay. Am I reading it correctly to see that it says okay, and then it has like a triangle, but could be interpreted to be a D?
Correct.
Okay. Is my understanding correct that this was Donald J. Trump approving of the spreadsheet here?
I believe so.
Okay. Did Donald J. Trump approve of the distributions that were made to TTT? By TTT? Sorry.
He approved of the distributions to TTT, yes.
Okay. And looking at the spreadsheet, am I reading it correctly that on the left-hand side, there's a column titled Entity? You see that column there?
Yes.
And it lists a bunch of properties. One in I don't know why I'm choosing the hardest words. How about I use the easier words?
UAE.
The second line is the DT Dubai Golf Manager LLC, and the license deal location is the United Arab Emirates. Am I reading that correctly?
Correct.
Okay, so DT Dubai Golf Manager LLC with the deal in United Arab Emirates received a fee of about $3 million, correct?
Correct.
And then there's a column that says less fees paid to Daewoo, right?
Correct.
Although that appears to be redacted, right? It's all blacked out on the column?
I guess, yes.
Do you have any understanding what fees were paid to Daewoo means?
Yeah, I know they were involved with us in some other deals. They were able to have the opportunity to invest in some of the licensing deals as they liked the license model that we were doing, and so they partook in some of the licensing deals that we did.
Okay, so this column reflects the fees paid to them, right?
It seems to.
Okay, and then we have a column reflecting amount received by the entity that is now subject to fees paid to TTT, right?
Correct.
And then if you go all the way to the far three columns, there's a line for DJT Jr., Ivanka, and Eric, right?
Correct.
And there are entries for every transaction or deal for which you, for example, received a TTT fee distribution for, right?
Correct.
And then that's a sum total at the bottom. And there's a net amount of For you, $352,913, right?
Correct.
Okay. I've read all of that correctly for the period of April 1, 2013 to June 21, 2013?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. All right. We can put that away. Thank you. I'll quickly go through this. I want to discuss your record-keeping practices generally. I'm correct in understanding you do, in fact, have an office with the Trump Organization, right?
I do.
Tell me all of the buildings and locations where you have offices that you perform work for the Trump Organization.
Primarily, obviously, Trump Tower. Using some, space these days in, our golf club in Jupiter, Florida, because I live there, so, working in and out of there at times. Those would be the primary places where I could have, a desk to use. Though I guess if I needed to for meetings at various places, I'd always be able to find a place at the properties.
Okay. So would it be accurate to state that you have a designated space meant for you at 725 Fifth Avenue in the Trump Tower?
Yes.
Are you on the 25th floor? Is that right?
Correct.
Okay. And correct, Donald's on the 26th floor?
He was, yes.
His office was on the 26th floor. Okay. And correct, Eric and Ivanka previously, no longer, but previously, she had space on the 25th floor, right?
Correct.
And Eric too?
Yes.
Still?
Yes.
Okay, great. And you have designated space?
Ivanka doesn't anymore.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
So I wasn't sure if you meant, yeah. Okay.
We're talking the same language. And you have space at the Jupiter Golf Club, right?
Yes, I've had some swing space that I use, but honestly, these days, so much I can do just from home. And so I do that more often.
Okay. Do you have a computer at 725 Fifth Avenue?
I do.
A laptop tower? When I say that phrase, do you know what I mean? Sorry, a tower computer?
Yeah. No, I just have a desktop and a laptop that I use when I'm not there, which is most of the time.
Okay. At Jupiter, do you have a desktop?
I just use my laptop everywhere.
Okay. How many laptops do you have?
Just the one.
And how long have you had your current laptop?
I don't know. A year, maybe.
Okay.
I don't know.
Did you switch laptops at some point?
Yeah, I guess as they get older, slower or get up, just transfer information from one to the next and move on.
And what type of laptop do you have?
You have a MacBook Pro?
Okay. In the process of switching your computers as they get older, describe that process. Is it IT who handles it?
Yes.
Okay. IT in the 725 Fifth Avenue, New York office?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. What is your understanding about what the IT does with your older versions of your laptop when you switch it out? If you have any
Yeah,
understanding.
I think I've actually just kept them to keep it what it is, but it's just transferring one, copying one, mirroring it onto the next, and moving on.
And what tools do you use to perform this function, to copy and mirror and transfer?
I don't know. That's IT.
Do you have an external drive where you preserve or store data on your computer?
Only, I have one, I guess it stays in my office just as a backup to primarily my photographs and stuff like that. And then they have an office drive that's a separate sort of, backup server to everything that's going on there.
Is there a name associated with that separate office backup drive?
Maybe it's a P drive. I'm not 100% sure.
So that's a network drive, correct?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. And the backup drive that you have in your possession that you mentioned you store photos on it, anything else you store on that drive?
I don't know, maybe just back up my iTunes, although that may all be done in the cloud these days. I'm, like you, perhaps I'm not all that technologically advanced.
Anything else that you keep on that drive?
No.
Okay.
Well, again, I don't know what it's programmed to do, but not to my knowledge.
Any other computers that you've used, whether at home or in the office, that we haven't talked about in which you've performed Trump Organization work?
Not really. Most of the work I would have done there, again, would be through those. Obviously, my iPhone, it's the same email, and so they're linked, and I would imagine 95% of my emails are probably done through my iPhone at this point. But no, not another computer. iPad, same thing. But again, linked to those accounts.
Okay. Other than the iPad and the iPhone, any other devices that you've used that for work purposes?
Not to my recollection.
Okay. Do you have a work-issued cell phone by the Trump Organization?
Yes.
What type of cell phone is that?
An iPhone.
Okay. And is that iPhone separate from a personal cell phone you use, or are they one and the same?
I just use one and the same.
Okay. And what is the current make and model of your phone?
I guess it's an iPhone 12 Plus Pro. Is that right? I don't know. I use it till I break it and I get a new one. It doesn't even say on these things. So I think it's a 12 Plus Pro.
Okay. And how long have you had that phone?
I've had that phone at least a year.
And what's the process for upgrading or changing your phones?
Same thing. Give it to IT. Have them mirror it so you pick up the new phone. It's like the old phone.
So the phone that you have, is there also, you made a reference earlier to the cloud. Is there some connection to the cloud where your device information is stored and then transferred to the next phone?
I believe so. Okay. Although I'm not, I don't know if there's technicalities to that question or answer that I'm not aware of, but generally speaking, if my phone's not working well, IT, they'll clone it, so to speak, and give me the new phone, and it looks the same as the old phone.
Okay. So I'll represent to you that from records I've seen, it appears that you've had about 5 mobile devices issued by the Trump Organization since about 2016.
Okay.
Any particular reason why you've changed your phone almost yearly?
I use it a lot. I'm on the road a lot. It's dropped a lot. They are not all that durable. In my free time, I'm in the outdoors a lot and sort of weird environments. They just stop working well. Once they stop working well, I'll change it, but no other reason.
Okay. And when you've upgraded your devices, have you retained those prior devices, or does the company keep them?
I've kept them, actually, and as part of this, I think I've given some of the old ones to legal through their sort of process, going through everything, making sure that they're getting you guys or others whatever they needed.
Okay. Do you remember which devices you provided to legal? And I'll just follow that up with who it was at legal that you provided those devices to.
Probably everything that I have that wasn't lost, or and I don't know if I've ever lost one, but I think I just gave them to Alan Garten, who would give it to someone else. Our general counsel probably wasn't dealing with that, but he'd give it to whoever was going through them for the requisite terms, details, search terms, etc.
Okay. And have you received those devices back?
I believe I have them.
Okay. Ever text message? I'm showing my BlackBerry days. Ever text about work on your cell phone?
Probably have, yes.
Okay. Do you know with what frequency you text about work matters on your cell phone?
I don't.
Were at any point you asked within the past 3 years to search or locate texts on your cell phone related to this matter?
I guess legal had asked me, said, hey, they're going to do this, we'd like to look at your phone, and here they take it for ungodly amounts of time. 8 hours, they'd go through it, either copy it, duplicate it, whatever it may be, then search for the requisite search terms, and I get my phone back. But then they would still usually, I believe, have that record of everything that was there, so they could go back and figure out what they needed.
Okay. Just to maybe shortcut some of my questions, in connection with this investigation, is it fair to say that you were asked to provide your phone? You didn't necessarily independently do searches of your phone. You turned it over to the legal department at Trump Organization, who conducted searches of that phone and then returned it back to you?
Correct.
Okay.
They may have asked me something. I may have tried looking it up if they were talking about a specific topic at the time. But yes, they would have had access to to everything to be able to do those and satisfy those searches. And I know they were extensive, and I wouldn't have done a good job.
Okay. Do you keep a calendar?
Yes.
Where do you keep your calendar?
On my phone.
Anywhere else?
I guess it's sort of linked, through whatever system it is. So it's wherever I am. I guess it's on my iPad. It's on my laptop. I think my assistant has it.
So is it like an iCalendar?
I don't know if it's officially iCalendar. I think it's done through Google Apps or one of those sort of cloud-based services now. But it's there somewhere.
Okay. Do you have a paper calendar?
No.
Okay. Were you asked to search your calendar for responsive records to this investigation? And did you, in fact, search your calendar for responsive records to this investigation?
Again, anything that was requested of a search, I gave to legal, they gave to the experts, and they searched everything that you would have requested.
Okay, great. How about handwritten notes? Have you ever had a practice of taking handwritten notes during meetings or phone calls?
Not often.
Describe for me an instance where you do take handwritten notes during a meeting or a phone call.
I don't know of an instance. I may say, hey, follow up on this, put it down somewhere, and then put it on a post-it note and then toss it after I've done whatever it is that I need to do. But I'm not an extensive note taker.
Okay. Do you keep any type of paper document or file related to the work that you perform for the Trump Organization that's relevant to this investigation?
I try not to. I think these days digitally it's all sort of done that way, and then it's kept on, like I said, I believe that P drive that I mentioned earlier, and saved that way. Obviously all emails are backed up, but I'm not a big paper file guy.
Were you at any point asked to search for or locate paper documents responsive to OAG subpoenas?
Yes, I believe they asked me for that.
And did you in fact conduct that search or direct someone to conduct that search?
I did. I had either, I can't remember if it was legal, my assistant, maybe both. Here's what I got if I have anything, or here's where those files, if they would have been more paper oriented at the time, longer ago, could be. And I know I've seen the boxes, so I know they went through everything to be responsive.
Okay. Did you conduct a search of your work email in connection with OAG subpoenas, or did somebody else conduct a search to your knowledge?
Again, they may have asked me. I may have looked at some stuff, but because the search terms were so, it would not have been me. I would have, here's all the data, here's the phone, here's the laptop, the desk, whatever it is. They can run their searches. Really, anything on my laptop would have been largely email, which would be linked to either my desktop, laptop, phone, everything, so they had access to it all.
Okay. Have you ever used your personal email account for work purposes?
Not that I remember, no.
And is it correct, dtrump357@gmail.com is your personal email account?
That's not correct. I don't know what that is.
That's not your email address?
I've never heard of that, no.
Okay. What's your, have you ever used, hold on, I asked that question. Okay. Have you ever forwarded emails to your personal email account? Work emails to your personal email account?
I don't know, but I know in going through the document search, I know the tech guys that were doing that. They asked what that email is, tjtjr@hotmail.com, and that was primarily my personal email. They asked for the access to that. I gave them all the logins, and they did all the same things for all of those things. They were quite thorough.
Okay, so it's your understanding that IT performed a search of your personal email accounts in connection with OAG subpoenas, is that right?
And not even IT. I think they brought in outside professionals that do that kind of work. So I don't think that wasn't our IT. That was outside IT. That was the name of the firm that Alan worked with.
Haystack.
Performed that in that detailed search.
Okay. Have you ever used a private messaging app for Trump Organization work?
I don't know. I've been a late adapter. I'm definitely on some of them now, but probably not much in terms of Trump Organization work, and again, probably not much in terms of certainly most of the time in question here.
How about Signal? Are you familiar with Signal?
Yes.
Have you used Signal for Trump Organization work?
Not that I remember, no.
What about Confide? Are you familiar with that?
No.
How about WhatsApp? Are you
Yes.
familiar? Have you used WhatsApp for Trump Organization work?
I don't believe so.
Do you recall any searches conducted of your WhatsApp in connection with OAG subpoenas?
I think they did the same thing. I think they asked me about WhatsApp. I think all the questions you were asking me, they asked me, and I gave them whatever access I could.
Okay. And I'll just represent to you that I have some of your WhatsApp messages. However, they appear incomplete. So I guess I'll just make this request of you that you go through and ensure that all of the WhatsApp messages relevant to this investigation that you have, that those be turned over.
Sure.
Because I only appear to have partial conversations. So maybe if those are deleted, it's helpful for me to know. But just ensure that those...
Yeah, I think it deletes on its own, whatever the way it's set up. So I don't know.
But half of a thread?
That I don't know. I have no idea. Again, I don't think I conduct much work that way, so
Yeah, okay. Do you have a Twitter account?
No.
Maybe.
Just kidding.
Yes.
Have you ever communicated with anyone about the Trump Organization's work using the direct message function on Twitter?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I assume everyone in big tech's reading that one.
Okay, we're getting close to the end. Are you familiar with the Trump Organization's insurance policies?
I'm not an insurance guy. We have teams that do that, but generally speaking, I may be aware of some of them. Yes.
Are you aware of a type of policy known as directors and officers liability?
Generally, yes.
So, if I said D&O policy for short, you would understand what that means?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have an understanding that a D&O policy covers costs, including legal fees, associated with governmental investigations into a director or officer of the organization?
I don't know if that's specifically or governmental investigations, I don't know, but I understand generally what it does, and it may cover that, yes.
Okay. Are you aware if the Trump Organization has a D&O policy to handle those types of costs?
I know insurance is picking up some of our litigation. I don't know if it pertains to this or other litigation, so I don't know specifically.
So fair to say you have some understanding that the Trump Organization has some policy that could cover investigation costs. Is that fair?
Correct.
Okay. Are you aware if any such policies were in existence starting from at least as early as 2016?
I imagine there was a D&O policy, but I don't specifically know.
Okay. Did you or anyone on your behalf, insofar as you're aware, ever submit a notice under the Trump Organization's D&O policy within the past 6 years, so since 2016?
I don't specifically know.
Any general knowledge of that occurring?
I think something I don't know if it's D&O or something else, another insurance policy, as it related to litigation, but perhaps.
Tell me more about what you're referring to.
I'm not. I know generally speaking there have been submissions for some of the stuff that's been going on. I don't know under which policy or if there's another policy. Maybe it's D&O. I'm not sure. I do know there have been submissions through insurance, for some of the ongoing things litigation-wise.
Would that include costs associated with investigations?
I don't know specifically.
Okay. Have you ever had legal fees associated with governmental investigations related to your work for the Trump Organization? I'm asking broadly.
No, I believe the Trump Organization has covered those for me, and then I'm not sure how they get, if they get that reimbursed back.
Okay. Have you or anyone on your behalf ever submitted a claim seeking to recover a portion of those legal fees to the Trump Organization's D&O policy?
I may have. I don't recall.
How about in 2016? Did you ever, or anyone on your behalf, ever submit a claim for reimbursement for costs associated with an investigation?
It's amazing, actually. They may have. I don't specifically recall.
How about 2017?
Same answer.
2018?
Same answer.
Is there anything that you could review that would refresh your recollection?
I'm not sure. I think once you get to that, it's, legal's going to make a claim based on whatever it may be, and I'm going to let them run with it.
Anyone else that you would direct me to that would help you refresh your recollection as to that point?
I guess Alan Gardner, General Counsel, would have probably dealt with that.
Okay. Are there any investigations in particular that you or anyone on your behalf has sought coverage for under the Trump Organization's D&O policy?
I don't remember.
Okay. How about in connection with the Trump Foundation investigation?
I don't remember.
How about with the Trump University investigation?
I don't know.
How about in connection with the investigation into the Trump Soho properties?
I don't remember.
How about in connection with the investigations convened by the Senate Committee on the Judiciary?
I don't know. Don't remember.
How about in connection with the investigations convened by the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence?
I don't know.
How about in connection with the investigations headed by Robert Mueller in the Russian interference in the 2016 election?
Don't remember.
Have you or anyone on your behalf ever submitted a notice under any D&O policy other than the Trump Organization's policy?
I don't recall.
Do you recall any claims for which, withdrawn? Do you recall having any claims rejected under a D&O policy?
I don't remember.
Do you recall any claims that you had recovered under a D&O policy?
I don't remember.
Have you ever sought to renew D&O coverage while investigations were ongoing?
Not involved, so I don't know. I mean, I have not, but I don't know, if the company did, but I don't recall it.
Okay. Are you familiar with an insurance carrier named Everest?
Not to my recollection.
Any knowledge as to what type of insurance coverage Everest provides to the Trump Organization?
I don't know.
Are you familiar with an insurance carrier named Tokyo Marine HCC, or HCC for short?
No, not to my knowledge.
Are you aware of what coverage HCC provides to the Trump Organization?
I'm not.
Any familiarity with the negotiations in 2017 by the Trump Organization to add additional insurance coverage limits to the Trump Organization's D&O policy?
Not that I remember, no.
Any understanding as to whose idea it was to have those negotiations with insurers concerning the Trump Organization's D&O policy in 2017?
I don't know.
Have you ever requested and received any quotes for such additional insurance policies in either December 2016 or early 2017?
Not that I remember.
Were you involved in any conversations with Aon brokerage services in connection with the Trump Organization's request to add additional limits to the Trump Organization's D&O policy?
I dealt with Aon on some of our business stuff, so I may have been, but I don't recall specific conversations about the D&O policy.
Okay. Who would be responsible at the Trump Organization for approving quotes received from insurers in January 2017?
I don't know.
Would the trustees be responsible for that?
Perhaps it could have been through insurance. I don't know. I didn't really have any involvement.
Insurance would have been responsible for approving quotes received from insurers?
They may have gotten the best quote around, and if that was what they got, they may have approved that and gone forward. Someone probably else had to sign off on that. I just don't have any knowledge of it.
Just so that I'm clear, your reference to insurance may have approved of something, is that a division within the Trump Organization?
There's people that handle insurance within Trump Organization, and that'd be their primary focus. Again, I don't know because I wasn't involved, but they could have said, hey, this is the best quote, we should approve this, and maybe then someone else did, but I don't remember being involved in it.
And who's the head of the insurance decisions?
Ron Lieberman would have probably made most of those decisions.
Okay. And Ron Lieberman has the authority to make those decisions binding coverage for the Trump Organization's insurance?
I don't know where he would have brought them to, perhaps myself, but probably Alan Weisselberg.
Anyone else?
Perhaps my brother. I don't know.
Okay. Anyone else?
Probably not, no. Maybe legal, but I don't know.
And again, just tell me I want to know what you know.
Yeah, I don't. Again, it's just not a topic I spend any time involved in, so.
Okay. Concerning the Trump Foundation litigation, when were you first aware that your work on the board was under investigation?
I don't remember.
Can you approximate a year?
15, 16?
You're asking.
Yeah, not really.
Pick a date.
I don't remember.
How did you become aware?
I don't recall.
Who would have handled responding to the investigative subpoenas in that litigation?
Probably Alan Garten. And I know we worked with outside counsel, on that one as well, but from a Trump org perspective, probably Alan Garten.
Do you have any understanding whether the Trump Foundation had separate D&O coverage from the Trump Organization's coverage?
I don't recall.
Generally, what is the process for Trump Organization employees who receive subpoenas in governmental investigations and inquiries?
I don't know. Generally, the answer is I don't know. Even if you're more specific, I probably don't know. They would go through our legal department for something like subpoenas.
So effectively, if you receive a subpoena, would you turn that related to your work at the organization? Would you turn that over to legal and let them handle it?
I generally probably wouldn't even receive the subpoena. They'd be the ones receiving it, on my behalf.
Okay. And do you have any role in that process, overseeing legal's handling of?